Live, and sorry we're a little late. We just got off the airplane and we're at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, just having returned from really seemed to me like we've just returned from East Berlin, not America. Because what I went through today, and I'm not saying this for me, I'm saying this for all 18 others who have either gone through it or are about to go through it, is very tragic, really. And this is a great American tragedy and injustice. And if it's not faced as an American tragedy and injustice, it will just be repeated as it has happened in the past under the Biden regime and will happen in the future. Over a period of time, we have allowed the Biden regime and the Democrat scoundrels who control that party to destroy our American justice system. It is a complete contradiction and misleading people to say we have justice in America. We do not. First of all, when you have a two-tiered justice system, one for the people in power, whether it's political or financial power, or a different system for those that are not in power or are not favored by the ruling class, then there isn't two systems of justice. There is no justice, because the very definition of justice is equal treatment for the favored and the unfavored, for the rich and for the poor, for the people in power and the people out of power. That's what made America different than, we often refer to like banana republics, but I'll go more than that. That's what made America different than Nazi Germany. That's what made America different than Soviet Russia. That's what makes America different than communist China. Well, we're not different in that respect any longer. All you need to do is either look at today or look at the last couple of months, look at the revelations of crime with regard to the person sitting in the White House with power over all of us. The man that's allowed to sit there, the evidence of his criminality is so overwhelming that it dwarfs anything else. I mean, it's videos and audios and bank records and testimony of, I'd say, at least a dozen witnesses now, his own words, his son's admissions. The only person that could escape the idea that the man in the White House took millions of dollars in bribes has got to be a fool, a person without a logical mind that can operate. When I hear these people say, oh, there's no proof that money went to Biden, my God, I can go on for an hour with the proof of him getting money, starting with the proof that I put out 2.5 years ago, the note outlining how much money he got. His son's own statements that he gave him half of what he earned. His son wrote that. But in an investigation like this, you don't disbelieve that. You go with that and you build on it. You know, they just ignore it. And you put the building blocks together. You got probably no exaggeration, a stronger case than I ever prosecuted. I'll tell you that. And I prosecuted some very strong cases, and I prosecuted cases that weren't as strong. Never seen one like this. Never, none close. We've never had a president that was as corrupt as this. And what he's doing is he's corrupting America. What is happening in Georgia is a corruption, a destruction of our justice system. The idea even that we really think that there are 4 real cases that just happen to be available now against the Republican candidate for put into next year so that it would make it difficult, if not impossible, for him to run. You've got to be a naive moron to accept that that isn't politically motivated. And then when you look what the cases are about, when you read this gigantically long, poorly written piece of crap, it's about an election dispute. It's about a man, a president, who believes that there were irregularities and fraud in the election, where there is a plethora of evidence, a large amount of evidence, much of it suppressed, much of it not allowed, courts not willing to have hearings. But all you have to do in the case of Georgia is look at the report, which they suppress and hide, like they did with the hard drive, of William Ligon, state senator. Report was issued in late December of 2020. It lists witness after witness and comes to the conclusion that the election was stolen. Okay. Trump isn't the only one who came to that conclusion. All those senators did after listening to witnesses. Now, as his lawyer, I'm not going to rely on and argue that. I mean, then I should be disbarred, because then I'm not a lawyer. I was doing my job, as the other lawyers were, representing a client, representing his interests, not somebody else's. And today I was brought into a jail like one of the many criminals that I prosecuted. And fingerprinted, mugshot, had to walk past all the prisoners. I'll tell you, people say, were you upset? Were you emotional? No, I wasn't. There wasn't a single emotion. Cold, calculating. I don't know. When you've been through September 11, you're not going to get upset with these bullies. They're not going to upset me. I know what I'm doing is for the good of my country. I know that I've got to fight this, because if I don't, it's going to happen to my children and to my children's children. This will be the way of life here. It's almost becoming that in the Democrat states. This is almost becoming that. First, let me say that the people in the prison, the personnel in the prison, were 100% professional. This is hardly their fault. They acted cordially and they acted professionally. And they made it as easy as a difficult process can be. And they did. But they made sure I went through every step of the process. The other places, the three others, of course, didn't require the president to have to go through that, and or didn't require bail. For some reason, they required me to put up $150,000 bail, like I'm going to run away. President Trump has to put up $200,000, as if. Now, just think of how that's done just to for public relations. If Trump were going to run away, a $200,000 bond is going to stop him. I mean, isn't that laughable, Fanny? What the hell are you doing that for? And what do you do the mugshot for? People don't know who he is. You do a mugshot to identify somebody. You just go take any picture and you can substitute it for the mugshot. We know who he is. That's all done. That's all done for political effect, for political theater. For that, she should be prosecuted, not Trump. For that, she's a corrupt prosecutor. She has no idea of the magnitude of the power that she holds, nor is she capable of exercising that power. A $200,000 bond
I mean, remember what the purpose of it is. Purpose is not to punish him. In fact, you're not allowed to punish him. He's presumed innocent. Ha ha. So am I. The purpose of a bond is to assure your appearance. Now, $200,000 is not going to assure his appearance. Maybe I'm talking him into a bigger bond. I don't know, but it'd have to be awful big. Where if Trump wanted to run away, he wouldn't run away. So the whole thing is, I hope you can see that the whole thing is being done for political purpose and to use the criminal justice system, the awesome power of taking people's liberty for political purposes, should subject you to removal from office and prosecution so that other prosecutors don't start to do that. People are starting to think that prosecutors have too much power. Now we start constraining their power, we're going to have more crime too. I mean, they're two-edged sword. And the reason prosecutors have been able to have this power is because they exercise it wisely and judiciously. When I did this, it was a long time ago, but I can't think of anyone that would do anything like. I can't think of anyone even close to doing anything like this. Republican, Democrat, federal, local. I mean, we grew up with the fear that we might be prosecuting an innocent man, a woman. I did. I pondered over it. Stayed up nights over it. Make sure that we used it properly. If there was a suggestion of impropriety, you'd fix it immediately. Well, I mean, this isn't impropriety. These are crimes they're committing. So I'll describe the day, since I'll give you an inside look at what it's like to be arrested. And well, I guess I would call it a modified arrest, right? And in fairness to them, that they did allow surrender. They could have done what the FBI did to the January 6 people for crimes like trespass, and that is raid their houses as if they were terrorists or drug dealers, frighten the living daylights out of their children, dress in costumes that made it look like a war was going on, and drag them off 5, 6, 8 months later because they identified them when they haven't done a damn thing to identify the people that assisted in directing the crowd to the Ashley Babbitt murder. Nobody's bothered to identify those people or give us an accounting of how many Antifa people were in there, how many FBI people were in there, how many other law enforcement people were in there. I don't know. Could it be more? Could they constitute a critical mass? Has anybody looked at the Sullivan tape lately, or things like that? Of course not. Of course not. They're suppressed. So I arrived there about 11, 12. Went to the office of the bondsman, the person who puts up the bond for you. My lawyer went to the district attorney's office to negotiate the terms of the bond, and the bondsman was in communication with the prison to work out when I would, once the bond was done, I would surrender myself. They negotiated the bond. I believe the bond was $250,000. And then you add 10% to it for something or other, but I think it was $150,000. So you pay a percentage of that to the bondsman to put it up. It's like an insurance policy that I'll return, which again is ridiculous that I'm not going to return. But what am I doing there if I wasn't going to return? Like, I'm not going to fight this. I'm innocent. Of course I'm going to fight it. I mean, I believe that I'm going to be vindicated. I believe there will come a day when, for those of you who don't see it, you realize But I'm telling you the truth about this. I think you should realize it now because I've been through this before. Right? Remember when the FBI came and raided my house 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago? Every one of those reporter scum wrote that where there's smoke, there's fire, they got them now. They wouldn't be able to raid a lawyer's house if they didn't have a lot of evidence. They wouldn't be able to raid his office if they didn't have a lot of evidence. Shouldn't have raided my office at all. If I had any regard for the Sixth Amendment to the United States Constitution, amendment to the Constitution, I mean, Biden has trashed that since the day he came into office. And so is the committees and the Democrats have taken the United States Constitution and ripped it up. It doesn't exist anymore. They have their own constitution. I don't know what the hell it is. Probably one more similar to one that would please Stalin or Hitler. Well, so we got a test there, right? Same group of people, right? We got a test of who's telling the truth and who's lying. 2 years later, a letter is sent to the grand jury saying we finished the investigation of Giuliani. We don't have probable cause for any crime. What? Where was the probable cause to rip my apartment apart or rip my law office apart? Probable cause was I was Trump's lawyer. And we can do anything we want to Trump because the press will let us do it. If this were done to anybody else, the libertarians would go crazy. If it was done to a lawyer for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, they'd go nuts. Imagine if the government raided the law office of the guy representing Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to see if any leads to terrorism in the lawyer's office. Huh? New York Times would go crazy. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is entitled to a lawyer. Donald Trump isn't. What the hell's that all about? But a country that's a despotic country. So 2 years later, it turns out completely innocent. They can't even find a Lou. Now, I'm going to tell you, they investigated me longer than that because unbeknownst to me, way back on the day that I began representing Donald Trump in 2018, they went and took, without telling me, my iCloud account. The FBI did. And they hung on to it for 2.5 years. And they watched everything in it. They knew everything I was doing. That's how they were tipped off about Hunter Biden and the Hunter Biden laptop, so they could go tip off the social media to suppress it. Because there were communications there with other people who helped me with it. A clear indication, by the way, that it came from the United States, not Russia. If you look at the social media, you look at my iCloud account, you can see where I got it. Got it from John Mac Isaacs with the help of Bob Costello, my lawyer. And I communicated with 2 or 3 people with it, some of whom were also being illegally spied on. I was being illegally spied on because I was his lawyer. At the time they originally did it, they couldn't have even suspected I did anything wrong. I mean, they did it about 5 days after I began representing. I didn't even have time to do anything wrong. Do you realize? I mean, I hope you understand the magnitude of this, because I'm not the only one this happened to. We could get George Papadopoulos here. We could get Carter Page here. We could get the people I don't even know in this indictment who did nothing, and they've been being hauled in like they're common criminals. I mean, there's a lot of this now. And we get sloppy with this next election, and we elect this criminal or one of his party, and this becomes permanent America. So we had the chart. I have it at home. I don't have it with me, but how many times do I have to prove that I'm telling the truth and that they're lying? 3? I've done that. When they raided my house, made it look like they must have tremendous evidence that I was guilty of something, and I told you I didn't do a damn thing. Who was telling the truth and who was lying? I was telling the truth, and they were lying. They were overjoyed. The prostitute press was overjoyed that they raided my house, only to be disappointed that they've, after 2 years of investigating, actually after 3.5 years of investigating 20 years of my life, they come up with, oh, no apology. How about money?
Yeah.
How much did they cost me? I won't even tell you. And what did they do to my life? I don't complain because I view it as I'm doing it for my country. I can take it. And God selected me to take it. But it's got to stop. It's got to stop before it starts to hit people who can't take it. And maybe it has already. You can't allow this to go on. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. I don't care if you don't like the way Trump talks, or you don't like the way I talk, or you don't like my politics, or this isn't right. You're an American like I am. This should not be allowed to happen in this country. And you've got to stand up. You've got to have our house. You got to have the courage that I have to stand up, not bow to them, not be afraid. If look in the mirror, decide if you're right. I am right. Again, they ripped my house apart. They ripped my lawyers apart. They investigated for 2 years, found no crime. They took my iCloud account without my knowledge and had it for 3 years. Watched everything I did, found no crime. I began representing him because I knew he was an innocent man charged with colluding with Russia. That went on for 4 years. It cost you $40 or $50 million. It turned out that not only were they lying, they paid for it. Hillary Clinton paid $1.1 million to create that fiction, which engulfed all of these prostitutes in the press for 3 or 4 years. After it was over, they were lying. By they, I mean the same people who were bringing these 4 cases. They were lying, and we, myself, Donald Trump, and our allies were telling the truth. There was no Russian collusion, right? Right. Then we had the conversation with the Ukrainian president. That was terrible. There was no justification for that. Look what Trump did. Oh, bad, bad, bad. I never even understood what he did, but whatever he did was bad, bad, bad. It turns out that the conversation was 1,000% justified by the Biden crimes in Ukraine, which were easily provable by the hard drive that they were suppressing, including William Barr. They had it. They validated it. It contains overwhelming evidence of Biden bribery in Ukraine, exactly what Trump was asking to be investigated. Had that been revealed by Barr and the poor excuse for an FBI director, there had been no hearings at all. It was overwhelming, powerful, exculpatory evidence hidden by the two chief law enforcement officers in this country. Not only are there no consequences for it, nobody even asked Barr when he goes on television and pontificates. Nobody ever asked him, why did you hide the hard drive? The damn thing was validated in 2019 and you hid it for all of 2020. When you were saying there was no evidence the election was stolen, was that the same lie as the hiding of the hard drive? So it turns out that we were telling you the truth about that conversation, and they were engaging in a conspiracy to unseat a lawfully elected president based on fraudulent testimony. Wow. And Trump gets indicted, and they don't. That's a country that's become totalitarian, at least with regard to the justice system, abusive beyond measure. In the last debate of the campaign, night I'll never forget, because I was called a Russian pawn by the criminal in the White House, the present criminal right here, the guy sitting there, Biden. I was called a Russian pawn, and Trump was accused of getting the hard drive from the Russians. At the time that he said that, the United States government law enforcement agencies knew that wasn't true. They already had validated it. They knew it came from John Paul Isaacs. They knew it had nothing to do with Russia. They knew that the 51, I don't know what you would call them, traitors who used to be intelligence agents that probably misled the United States any number of times with faulty intelligence. Who knows exactly why? That they all lied, engaged in a conspiracy to defraud the American people of necessary knowledge, hid probably the most relevant evidence ever in a presidential campaign. Well, the Attorney General of the United States at the time that that happened knew they were doing that. So did the head of the FBI. So did the FBI. And they hid it. Got validated 17 months later. And I never even got an apology for being called a Russian pawn. No, instead I get arrested. Huh? Come on. Can you absorb all this? You better, because it could happen to you or your children if you don't. Well, I could go on, and the point is that it's already now been proven over and over again who the liars are and who's telling the truth. So who the hell do you think is lying about the election, and who you think is telling the truth? You think I'm lying about having people that came to me and told me that this fraud happened and that fraud happened and this fraud happened and that fraud happened? I don't know. I've produced the affidavits. They just get ignored. I produced the witnesses in Georgia. They testified. Produced the witnesses in Pennsylvania and Michigan. They testified and got abused. Plenty more witnesses since then. Well, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll see if we can, I don't know if we can organize in our location here for calls, but we'll see if we can. Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. Yeah.
Right, you're live.
This could work.
Yeah, we're back.
Well, you can see, right, if it's
Yeah,
working.
and we're back on, Mayor.
We're back on. Thank you. We're doing a little moving around here at the Teterboro Airport, which we didn't expect to be doing it from here. We expected to be doing it at home with Dr. Maria and even with Andrew, because they're going to watch the debate and we're going to come back on at 11. and see what the heck happened with the debate, and also with the interview of Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson.
Yep.
And
8:55.
And I think I've given you enough enough information about what happened to me today. Let me tell you that I will go to sleep tonight. I'll have a very good night's sleep. I have a clear conscience. I did nothing wrong. I did what I was supposed to do, and I did something really right. I'm kind of proud of myself for getting through this professionally, and I'm proud of my colleagues like Professor Eastman. You have no idea what a nice man and a good man Professor Eastman is. And I mean, I'm kind of a tough guy. He's a really nice, sweet professor. I feel terrible for him doing this to him. But in any event, we've spent enough time on that. We're going to spend plenty more time on it, unfortunately, because we have no choice. We got to win the next election to save America. But now tonight is a big moment on the Republican side, because we have all of the main candidates that want to be the Republican nominee other than Donald Trump debating tonight on a network that used to be favorable to Donald Trump and to the conservative cause that is now 50-50, I guess. I don't know what I would call them. A big disappointment, I think, to many of us. But in any event, I mean, I'm banned from the network. Exactly why, I don't know, but I'm banned, even though I was probably on more than anyone. I also sometimes can tell you how I helped them get started, because they would have had a hard time getting started, at least at the level they did, if it wasn't for me. But loyalty means nothing. And I don't even know who they're on now. I mean, they were the DeSantis communications arm for a while. It was all day, wall to wall DeSantis. Now, apparently, Rupert has become disillusioned with him because I'm telling you what I read. He's a bad candidate, and now they're trying to find someone. They don't know who they got. I guess Christie for a while. Were they? I don't think they like Ramaswamy because he's too nice to Trump, I think.
That's right.
But or do they like Ramaswamy? Well, somebody has targeted Ramaswamy. We've had two major hits on him. That used to happen to me when I was the front runner. And when I wasn't, it didn't happen to me. So sometimes I like not being the front runner. So somebody thinks that he's a threat. So because within 4 days they put out the Soros story that he got a scholarship from Soros's brother, I don't know, when he was in college, which amounts to nothing really. And they're making a big deal out of his statements on Israel that does amount to something. It is a problem. I mean, I'm not saying it isn't, but somebody is magnifying that because they're threatened by him.
Yeah.
I wonder who. I wonder which camp is pushing it.
Part of it is definitely the DeSantis camp, Mayor.
Do you think DeSantis is worried that Ramaswamy is gonna?
I think the whole apparatus is worried about him.
But there's also, I mean, you're going to both have to speak up a bit.
Yeah.
But you, Ted, have been not a fan of Christie, but somebody who thinks that Christie has a chance of being number two.
I do. I do think so, Mayor. And yes, as you said, it's not because I'm a fan of his. I'm a squirrely with President Trump. I've been pretty open about that for quite some time. However, just from an analytical standpoint, Chris Christie, look, he's a good, I would say a good retail politician, right?
Yeah.
Look, whether you like where he stands or don't like where he stands, you know where he stands on some of these issues, especially the whole Trump thing. And my whole thing is for all these anti-Trumpers, which I think really does only make up a much smaller percentage of the party, as the media likes to say.
Well, and I think I think the Biden pursuit of him is driving more people, Republicans certainly, into the Trump camp. Almost as a, I think, I mean, I've heard people say
Well, I think we got to vote for Trump. He's the only one who can really fix this. The other guys may be good candidates, but they haven't gone through this. So they're not going to realize the magnitude of what's going on. And the only guy who can really fix it right away is the guy who's gone through it.
Yeah.
I think there's a feeling like that. And I think the Democrats have gone so far that may have bled over somewhat into the independents. That happens and it's over for Biden.
Bingo. And Mayor, and of course Christie does get some advantages because the media likes him because he's going after Trump. So even we know it's not a fair.
Well, he's
fight.
on ABC. I mean, he's on one.
He basically lives on these networks.
He
must have a room there or something.
He's on one of the communist networks
every day. Yeah. And of course, the more if you're willing to bash Trump as a Republican, you're going to get on because then they get to show how look, even these guys aren't for president, they're anti-Trump. When in reality, they have no support with the base, right? They're literally supported by a few consultants who are getting paid. And the media who are using Chris, I don't know if he knows this, Mr. Governor, but you're being used by these networks. 100%.
No, I think he knows it. He's a sharp guy. He's using them and they're using him.
Sure, that's a good point. Fair enough.
I think Christie is burdened by the fact that he sounds like a retail politician, and people have had it with these bastards. They've had it with them.
You mean he's a used car salesman?
He's a $2. I'm not even going to say it. He's an Electrolux vacuum cleaner salesman.
He's selling phony products. He's selling phony products on Canal Street.
Absolutely. And he
come to my booth.
Well,
I've got Gucci's and I've got Rolexes for $2.
Made in China.
You can get a Rolex. Here's your Oh, I'm sorry, it fell apart. You take this.
Yeah.
That's right, Mayor. And of course, Vivek, we've noticed, has been getting hit left and right the last few days.
Because he does not sound like a retail politician.
I tell you though,
substantively.
Yeah.
One was an unfair one, and the other one was a real difficult one that could hurt him. I mean, I have a problem with that.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
I have a substantive problem, and I like Vivek, but that idea of cutting off aid for Israel and then saying he's going to follow the Obama approach to Israel. What is he, crazy?
We're still waiting for him to fix that.
He better explain that. I mean, it's almost and that reference to Obama and Israel. I mean, if you think the right policy toward Israel is Obama's, wow, you got a real problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's much broader than just the U.S. and Israel. It involves Iran. It involves Saudi Arabia. It involves the Middle East. It involves Russia. It's a real misreading of American foreign policy.
Why would he say that? You think?
We're going to find out, I guess.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting night for those two.
We have ignored a few other people, and it is like the Kentucky Derby. They're all, particularly lately, because DeSantis has moved back to the pack. They've moved up, but I got to tell you, they haven't moved a lot. Even Christie. I mean, Christie comes in with a lot of name recognition. And I think he came in at 5, and he's at 9. Vivek came in at 0. He's at 9, basically.
Christie needs to lose a little weight. Maybe he'll ascend quicker. He's holding himself
down. Get some air out of the balloon.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about.
And then we have Scott, who a lot of people like Scott, but the numbers don't reflect it. But a lot of the commentary does, including when you talk to people like in New Hampshire and all. People say nice things about him, but it doesn't. I mean, he's also in depending on the poll, the 5 to 9% range.
That's right.
I think Trump is holding on to the bulk of it. Right? People want Trump. They want him. A lot of people are saying that.
I mean, he's not. You've got a couple of people there. Christie is a certain kind of debater, but he completely wiped out a very smart man who was it that he wiped out in the debate last night? It wasn't Trump. No, of course not.
Christie took care of Marco.
Marco Rubio. That's right. He got rid of Rubio for Trump in a way. I mean, Rubio was like, I forgot that. Rubio was the last standing guy that could take on Trump. And Christie got rid of him, but got no benefit from it.
Yeah. Trump benefited.
Trump got all the numbers from it. It was like the weirdest damn thing.
It's like,
You
okay,
took him out, that was
we
something else, though.
It is a weird thing. There's a lot of anomalies associated with Donald Trump. But I think the anomaly is people want Trump. They're afraid. And the mainstream news media, which is what everybody watches, is never going to propagate that kind of messaging. You know, they're always going to squash it. They don't give Trump a chance. And
Well,
he still does well.
if you come back at 11 after it's over, we're going to tell you the details on who won and who lost. And then I'll also get to do my Balance of Nature commercial so that you can see me take my Balance of Nature pills. And you can, if my mother were around, she'd be really angry at me that I didn't take my traveling tablets with me, which I should have because I'm a jerk and forgetful. I also forgot, believe it or not.
I think you had a few things on your mind this morning, Mayor.
Look what we did bring up. Look what we took.
Believe
Thank
it or not, I'm
goodness
going to
we-
tell you the funniest thing. I had to get bail, right? I forgot my checkbook. I had to get it wired. I had to get the money wired. I forgot my checkbook. What a jerk. I forgot my checkbook and my identification.
You're not wired for that kind of stuff. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Well, lucky. I mean,
Guess what we did have? We had our live stream kit.
yeah. I mean, I forgot my checkbook. There I am in the car heading for Teterboro. We're afraid we're going to be late. I said, maybe I should go back. And then I realized, well, I could try to wire the money. I could call the bank and have them wire it to the bail bondsman. And we did. And it worked out, thank God. Otherwise, I'd be spending a night in that jail, boy. But I have to tell you one thing, and I will say this, and I say this quite honestly. I don't know what the problems in that jail are, but the staff seemed perfectly professional to me, boy. The sheriff's staff looked like solid professionals. And after all, this was my business. I mean, I was in charge of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I know a lot about prisons from being in the Justice Department forever. And I've seen really bad prisons, and so has Bernie. And this is a very bad one. But I got to tell you, the staff was, if I had to evaluate it based on the staff, I would say it is one heck of a good prison. I'll tell you really what was crazy. I come out and the press is there like a group of, oh man. We're going to show you a picture when we come back. I wanted to go back into the jail. I felt safer in the jail. Oh, and I should tell you, I don't know if I should say this or not. Well, I'm going to talk it over with you and we'll see after the commercial whether we should say it or not. Let's do QUX.
One second, it's not yet. And we are.
The year is 2022. Cancel culture is the new normal. Online freedom, as we know it, has ended. Digital stockades are here. All activity is monitored, stored, and predictively analyzed by a technological cartel. We're being converted into a digital resource, a digital currency to be farmed for metadata and loaded into a computerized combine, blockchained to a social engineering operating system. However, it doesn't have to be this way. Be part of a new technological revolution. Right now, 1,000 test pilots have launched themselves into a new digital frontier, a private network outside of big tech control. New technology with state-of-the-art digital engagement and never-done-before security and privacy features that are now operational. With Qwix, digital engagement, entertainment, communication, and commercial exchange will never be the same. We are QUX. Qwix. Advanced pre-release sales are limited to 3,000. Order now by visiting Qwix.tv. Get yours now before they sell out. Be part of a brand new online experience that you control.
We are back, and we've decided to tell you. So one of the things you should know is that
I got a pretty strong ovation inside the prison by the prisoners, including when I was, goes back to when I ran for mayor. So it must have been some New Yorkers there. New Yorkers are probably in prison all over America. I'm sorry. But they were yelling, Rudy, Rudy, go get him, Rudy. We're with you, Rudy, Rudy. I don't know how to react to this. I'm telling you, this is unusual for me. This is not, even when I was a defense lawyer, I always found it a little strange. I don't know that I've ever made the complete conversion from being a prosecutor.
Well, that's the public sentiment when it's not going through this filter of the media.
Yeah,
True public sentiment is they love.
I was surprised there was anybody in the prison because I heard that Finney lets them all out, and that's why there's so much. The other thing that occurred to me as I watched this, and I talked to the bail bonds people who are going to do they're not going to do all of them. They have them divided up with the different bail bondsmen in Atlanta. I think 2 or 3 of them are doing it, and they've divided up the 19 people. But when you consider all the time and money being spent on this, there's a lot of crime in Atlanta. And they're spending time on an election case as a RICO case. I mean, they're going to tie up a court for 2 years. We had the Pizza Connection case. It was 27 defendants. It took 2.5 years to try. They've got a case, a relatively, for me, simple case of a gang. They've taken 4 months to pick a jury. I want you to think about what it's like to pick a jury in a 19 defendant case. How long that's going to take, the amount of money it's going to cost the state and the city, and the amount of time taken away from the people that are murdering people in Atlanta, and how insane this case is, how insane the DA is. I mean, among other things, there are 3 other cases that either are going to stop Trump or not. What the hell are you doing this one for if it isn't really not a case? But it's actually just an attempt to tie him up so much next year that he's going to lose, which is a totally impermissible use of the justice system. Well,
Mayor, we have about 10 minutes left.
Yeah, and we're going to stop on time so you guys can get to the debate and or the Tucker Trump interview. So the debate is on Fox.
That's right.
And the Tucker Trump interview is right here.
On
X. No, this is Getter right here. But so it's on X right there.
Yep.
You guys can just
and
switch around. How do you get the debate? The Tucker.
So right here on X is my understanding. Can you look that up just to make sure? We'll double check for our audience. I believe Tucker and the president can be found on X, but we're going to double check that for our viewers. Also, because we love our audience, Mayor, we're going to let them know the Trump-Tucker interview actually starts at 8:55 Eastern.
Oh, so
we're going to stay until 9. I want to hit our hour mark.
Yeah. But if you guys want to get off at 8:55, we're really happy with that. If you want to watch that one, or we're happy if you want to watch the debate. It's up to you. I mean, look, the other, you can always watch the other one. You can always watch the other one on video later, right?
Because we're news, because we're journalists, right, Mayor? We're journalists.
Yeah.
We're watching both because it's our duty to our audience, right?
But I don't know how we're going to watch both. We're going to try it. We're going to be in the car.
Actually, the car, we're going to
be in the car going back from New Jersey to Manhattan. Yeah. So we'll put it on.
I'm going to get us there in time.
So I'll put one on my iPad. I'll put one on my. They'll be looking for us. Don't.
Yeah. They know where we are. We told them we're at Teeter.
I'll put one on my iPad, and maybe you can put one on your big thing there. That you have that big one, the fat phone, yeah. And we can listen to both. I mean,
yeah.
And
so
see.
We're gonna hit the full hour mark for our show. So we have 10 minutes left. We may lose some of you at 8:55 for Tucker and Trump. And then, of course, at 9 p.m. is the start of the debate, and that's where we'll be signing off.
And it's an hour and a half.
It's an hour and a half, or is it 2 hours?
I'm not sure, but we'll be on right after the debate.
Well, so come back.
But when they're done, when the 2 of them are done, we'll be on. When the latest one is done, we'll be back right on here, whether you get us on X, or you get us on YouTube, or you get us on Getter, or you get us on Facebook, or you get us on Rumble, Tumble, or you get us on Twitch.
That's right. You said QUX, of course.
And if you get us on QUX, you can also get OAN.
That's right. And then, of course, so we're going to stay on here for a few more minutes. Join us again right after the debate for some live post-debate coverage with the mayor. So with a few minutes left, Mayor, of course, you've been a part of city council debates, mayoral debates. You've been a part of presidential debates. Your son, of course, recently ran for governor. He had debates. You've been a part of how many presidential candidates in their debate prep?
4 or 5.
Yeah. So the point is, you know debates maybe more than almost anyone. What are you looking for tonight from these candidates? And maybe give us some more.
Well, everybody is looking for different things. I'm going to tell you, I'm looking for the one. Obviously, it's silly for me to, I'm a Trump supporter, and I'm voting for Trump, and it would have to be something unbelievable to change that. But I also am looking at, if God forbid Trump were to drop out, or who's the candidate? I'm looking at vice president possibilities. I'm even looking at 28. So what I'm looking for is the person who can explain in the most human way what their aspirations are for this country. And I know in 10 minutes, that's all they're going to have, 10, 12, if you divide the number of people by the time, they're not going to be able, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, they didn't give specifics. If they gave specifics, they need a half hour. I want to hear if they're hitting on the main issues, if they understand that we've got to stand up. I mean, I need to hear him say we're going to stand up to China. I need him to recognize that China is a great danger to this country, and that it has to be dealt with. Which it isn't at all. I mean, we got a president that is sold out to China, but that we're going to deal with it, and that they realize the critical danger of China and Chinese communism to the United States. I'm going to look for the people who understand the connection between what's being done to us, because there is a connection, and it's communism.
Yeah.
And I want to see if they've got the guts to say that, because there will be left-wing critics who make fun of you for saying it.
That's right.
But we don't have time for that anymore. That was the great thing about Trump. He didn't let the New York Times and the Washington Post run the country. He ran the country.
Yes.
I want to see somebody who's got, now, I mean, that excludes Christie completely, who sucks. I mean, he's sucking up to ABC and everybody. He's gone on that one. The rest of them are in the ballpark there. I'm looking for substance. Who's got the most? Who's got their eye on the key issues? Because if you can't spot them, you can't solve them. And if you don't have the guts to articulate them, you can't solve them. It means you're going to cave in. It's like the whole Obama administration never being able to say Islamic extremist terrorism meant that they took ISIS and brought it back as a major problem that Trump had to deal with. And I knew at the minute they couldn't face the problem, that it was going to get worse. So one of the things they can do for me, it might be different for you, is they can show me they understand the key problems. They have to understand how we have been made into a totalitarian state. The attack on American parents. They've got to understand what's been done there and why it was done. This has been going on for 30 years. It's been communist infiltration of our schools. It's been communist infiltration to get rid of God. It's been communist infiltration to get rid of parents. If you've read Karl Marx, those are his two major targets, God and parents. And what are they doing? I mean, the Democrat Party, none of them ever even objected to the statements about, the school should decide, not the parents. The Democratic governor of New Jersey is trying to keep parents out of the decision to mutilate their children. I mean, the idea is the Democratic Party is dedicated to making your child a creature of the Democrat state, or you could substitute communist state. They want to take over your child.
Yes.
You're a secondary thought. I need to hear some mention of that you get it, and that you've got the guts to fight it, because it's a tough fight. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's see who does the best on that. That's the way I'm going to score them, not on style points, not on who tells the most jokes or attacks the most people, or
So we'll watch it for substance. So Mayor, just 5 minutes left.
on the Trump side. Trump is going to, I know what Trump is going to do, and he's going to do fine. I mean, Trump, even though he gets criticized for it, Trump is the most substantive of all. When he gives those speeches, he covers almost everything. And you know what he's going to do. And I want to see how, how he articulates it, but I'm almost certain that he'll be as good as he was when he ripped apart of that reporter whose name I can't even remember.
Let's so we have just a couple minutes left, Mayor, but before we sign off, maybe we'll give a few closing remarks, but before that, can we maybe just spend a minute on our friends at Balance of Nature? Of course, we're on our way back to take our Balance of Nature.
I need it badly.
Yeah, so we're going to do that, but let's maybe just spend a moment. I want to highlight what they've done for us. Of course, countless fruits and vegetables packed into these pills. How many do you take a day? 2 of each?
Well, I
4
take
total.
two in the morning,
2 in the
4,
morning.
and I take 4 on the show at night.
So 2 of
So I
each in the
take
morning,
8,
8 total.
and then I
4
take
fruits, 4 veggies.
and I take 1 or 2
of those
helpings of the
Mix.
of the mix,
of the fiber.
right? But which is up to you whether you need it or not.
But we would encourage all of you to give it a shot, give it a try. Balance of Nature. You can go to balanceofnature.com. Be sure to use that promo code Rudy for massive savings, upwards of 35% off, and you're supporting a great company.
And also, I'm going to throw in My Pillows too. Go give Mike just held a tremendous, really good program that I was supposed to go to, and I couldn't because of what's going on and getting ready for this. I guess I surrendered myself, but I haven't surrendered. I went there and made my statement to fight. So go to mypillows.com. I don't know. Help him out. You got to need some of his stuff. I keep buying his stuff. You can buy it. The slippers are fabulous. I wish I had them on now. Can't wait to get these shoes off. The robes, sheets, pillowcases.
Does he put all of his money back into this cause?
No, but he puts a lot of it in.
A lot, right?
Yeah.
Nobody puts
Yeah.
it like he does. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we might as well support the people who are helping us fight to save our way of life and not support the people who are trying to destroy us and make us into a communist country. And there's nobody that is more dedicated than Mike. And same thing with Balance of Nature. They are true patriots. They are true patriots. When you buy those pills, you're doing something really good for yourself. You're doing something really good for your country too. And I'm telling you, if you talk to a doctor about this, they will tell you can't have enough fruit and vegetables. No such thing as having too much. There's no such thing as you're not going to overdose on fruits and vegetables. Believe me, all we do is help you.
That's right.
Plenty of energy, plenty of vitamins, and you get them in a good way.
Well, maybe the pharmaceutical companies won't get so rich, but
So that wouldn't be a bad idea. Well, I think we're at the time where the debate is probably just about ready to start. We'll be back afterwards as we go through we're going through the tunnel, or we're going to go over the bridge? The tunnel. Okay, the tunnel. All right.
I'm going to have us there in.
God bless you, and God bless America, and we'll see you later. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to